So it's been a minute since our last video. To be honest, there are a few reasons for that. I think the first was probably the New Year's Day tragedy. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to everyone that continues to keep these people and their families in their prayers. Obviously, it wasn't that long ago, which is part of the reason we didn't want to be out filming all that much. Also, a little embarrassed to say that part of the reason is because I did fear. I didn't necessarily want to be out there. I'm on Bourbon Street every day, and there's a constant reminder in my head, and thinking about bringing my family out in the city, it did get to me, and I realized that was probably wrong, because that's probably what these people who commit these acts of terror actually do want. So we are going to move on. Another one of the reasons is because of the Super Bowl. We were really, really busy, which was great. It's always nice to be busy in the city, and kudos to the city. I think it pulled off an absolutely magnificent show, and I think everybody who came down there or here to New Orleans would probably say the same. So we've proved again that we're definitely the destination city when it comes to the Super Bowl. So that was pretty cool.
Cue the snowstorm.
Yeah, then the snowstorm. So yeah, New Orleans gets 11, 12 inches of snow, which was just crazy. I have never even come close to anything like that in my life. It's never even covered the grounds. But we took full advantage of it. It's not necessarily the biggest negative thing, because we enjoyed it. It was beautiful. The kids went out and played in the snow, although they didn't last very long. But they are kids growing up in New Orleans, so what do we know about snow? The city also did shut down for like 5 days, so that was also a little embarrassing. But again, snow in New Orleans, I think the last time something like that happened was 1895. So
I'm one and done.
Yeah.
I'm one and done with the snow.
Yeah, it was pretty, but we're good. We'll travel somewhere if we're going to go play in the snow. But anyway, we are moving on to bigger and better, and we've got a lot of things coming up on the agenda, including today's video. So check this out. We're in the midst of Carnival in New Orleans now, and Mardi Gras Day is fast approaching. Before the big show, we figured we'd go to Mardi Gras World, aka Blaine Kern Studios, for a little preamble into what's to come. The parades, Mardi Gras balls, and parties are well underway. The eye-popping displays of some of these floats in the parades are worth the wait alone. And when the locals think of the parade floats, they think, of course, of Blaine Kern, aka Mr. Mardi Gras. Kern Studios opened its doors in 1947, but its origins go back to 1932, when Roy Kern, Blaine's father, and then young son Blaine, created their first float, according to the website. Blaine traveled the world studying under leaders in float and costume making, and brought some of those ideas back home and revolutionized the industry with his designs. Although Mr. Blaine has passed on in 2020, it's a family affair today, but one of his sons, Barry, takes the lead role in the massive operation that began as Kern Studios. In 1984, Kern Studios opened its door to curious travelers and locals so they can get a glimpse into the making of these ornate floats. Now, before our tour guide took us back to the 3,000 square foot warehouse, we were sat down and shown a brief video on the history of Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and of course, served up some of the delicious king cake provided by one of the well-known bakeries in town, Gambino's. Although Scarlett here was visually upset she didn't get the baby. If you know, you know.
The first stop is the sculpting station. The designs are first sketched out on styrofoam, then cut out on multiple sheets glued together with an insulation-type material called the Great Stuff. This can be done by hand or with their state-of-the-art robot, Pixie. It's like a colossal 3D printer that can whip up projects up to 60 feet long. It mostly uses styrofoam, but it can also cut through materials like polyurethane, stone, wood, clay, and even metal. Designers just enter the design details into Pixie's computer and start a project, and Pixie takes care of the rest. If you're wondering why it's called Pixie, it's named after Geraldine Pixie Hall Nakan, who actually was a team member at Kern Studios for an amazing 47 years. Once this step is complete, we move over to paper mache. All of the styrofoam is covered with small strips of brown paper, classic paper mache, which helps smooth out the surface and makes it easier to paint. And then finally off to painting. Every prop is spray painted with a waterproof top coat, and most of the painting is done with your everyday exterior house paint. All of the props can easily be repurposed the next year with small changes to design style and paint colors. These designers work 50 weeks out of the year and are always looking off to the next theme.
All right, we are back. What did you think of Mardi Gras World? Did you have a good time? You definitely took a lot of photos, right?
Look, I really had a great time at Mardi Gras World. As a local, it's funny because when we went in, they're like, what are you doing here? Locals, you know what Mardi Gras is all about. But we thought it would be great to bring you guys along so that you could see, because we do get a lot of questions.
I saw lots of floats at Mardi Gras.
You did. And people are always asking us, is it worth it? Should we go to Mardi Gras World?
I thought so, and I thought it was really neat to see how they're constructed. I had no idea, to be honest. We've witnessed them all of our lives, the floats in the parades, and she's even ridden on a lot of the parades, but I'd never seen how they construct them, so I thought it was pretty cool. I would say if you're down here for Mardi Gras, maybe it's something that is not necessary unless you're really interested in how they indeed are put together and constructed.
A bit of the history too.
Yeah, there was a brief Mardi Gras history there, and it was a neat little video. She obviously loved the king cake, which you can't stay away from. But
So much king cake.
yeah, a little too much so far, and Mardi Gras is still, 2 weeks away. It was a lot, but I think people should do it, like I said, especially if it's not Mardi Gras season and you want to get a feel for what it's like, because you really do get that experience out of it, I think.
Locals tip as well. Always go to Groupon. Groupon had tickets for, I want to say it was half, if not a third,
Yeah, it was cheap.
of the price than it is regularly on the Mardi Gras World website. Check it. It's worth just taking a peek before you go. And we bought them actually while we were there, and they came in pretty quickly. But if you can advance plan, do. But if not, always just check there, and you never know.
So, what it's worth, that was our experience at Mardi Gras World or Kern Studios, but I think it was definitely something that we'd suggest again when people are coming down and not necessarily here for Mardi Gras. As always, of course, if you are coming down to New Orleans, look us up at privatetoursneworleans.com. Stay lucky.